Top Hill Recording Podcast, episode 200.
Was that Dusty Bill or was that Scott T?
Man, we brought the party.
So Dusty was just asking us, it was right around this week in 2019 that we started.
Yeah.
First podcast in a pop-up tent frame with moving blankets hanging off of it.
At your house?
In an empty bedroom.
With carpet?
It was just my son he didn't just move out, but we had that bedroom empty. We got a pop-up tent frame, hung moving blankets around it, put a table in there. You were on one side of the table, I was on the other, and just said, let's just record and see what happens.
Wow. The world's a better place, I'll tell you that.
Have you ever gone back and listened to that?
Absolutely not.
You got pictures of that first... You have pictures or video of that first setup?
Man.
That'd be a cool,
there's got to be somewhere,
cool, progress clip show or something all you guys done.
My question is, how many Thanksgivings went by of your boy coming home and you being like, well, I'm thinking about
you're on the sorry, buddy, you're on the couch.
Clean that closet out before I clean it out for you.
I was thinking, so we didn't have a video. When we did the home studio tour that we have on YouTube, Top Hill Studio A wasn't even done. We didn't have the can lights. We had those shop lights with the cords hanging everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So we don't even have a finished Top Hill Studio A. This is Top Hill Studio B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Basement studios.
Yep. And then
for basement.
Okay, we're gonna let out the plans, put it out there, so then it's got to happen.
All right, put it in the atmosphere. Is that all right with you? Yeah.
All right, so Top Hill Studio B is done. The plan, Top Hill Studio C, is going to be Neil's RV. It's going to be set up where we can take it somewhere.
That's great. Festivals.
We're going to have a mobile outfit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll be mobile. Yeah, he can take it. Yeah.
And it's a Class C RV.
Oh, look at that.
Hence the title.
Okay,
yes.
Love it.
Okay with the knowledge.
He's dropping.
Top Hill Studio D is going to be in Carson, North Dakota, and it's going to be a little isolation mixing type area.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully, it's also an artist residency.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Anytime.
I won't talk to you if you don't talk to me.
Anytime.
Just do a Top Hill tour, man. Start here, take the bus, take the RV up to Dakota.
To Carson, and then perform for if you get 10% of the town, you'll have 30 people in the audience.
That's about my average numbers anyway, baby.
Yeah. That's about right.
Stacked crowds. What I'm trying to tell you guys, they have nothing else to do. You might get them all.
We can just film it on Main Street.
Yeah, dude. Oh, shut down Main Street.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So Matt Donahue said population's been like 250 people since 1899. So he said, Cindy, my wife, and I need to go out in front by the sign and just hold a sign that says +2. Take a picture.
Ridiculous.
Is that what it is now? What's the population now?
Yeah.
252 now.
That's wild.
Holy legit.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it too loud. You're doing this thing, putting it on the internet. The internet's going to win.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to. Nobody
people.
wants to go to Carson, North Dakota, except this guy. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's got good pheasant hunting. All right, go. What the heck? Go up there.
Sounds nice if you want to get away from people.
You'd be surprised.
Just isolate.
Brad got 150 episodes in and decided he didn't like people. It's like, I've got to go somewhere else. Totally. Where can I leave
Need a change.
Where can I almost leave the country, but still be in the country? North Dakota. So I guess the smart thing to do would explain the significance of everybody that's in the room tonight. So
so we got some people that bailed us out in our times of need.
Absolutely.
We invited them all. So
yeah.
We got Earl and Scott and Dusty on the sofa. They've been co-hosts. Mm-hmm. And Spencer's been part of the crew for quite a while.
He's been a co-host too. Tank top, only guy with the tank top.
Oh my gosh! I was after work. I didn't have time to change.
What did I tell you about a show shirt in the trunk of the car?
I know.
Hey man,
I know.
It's okay, dude.
Show the guns, man.
You look like Jesus. You can get away with anything, man.
Yeah.
You were at the first time I ever did Top Hill. You were here. You were at the
It's switcha.
You had that
or hanging or something.
Yeah.
And Spencer hit camera one for us.
There we go.
We got an empty chair over here because important part of our crew didn't show tonight, but we got to mention Brent.
We do have to mention Brent, the toast, raise a glass.
Yeah.
Hey, cheers to 200 too, man.
Cheers to 200, you guys. That's a big deal.
Cheers, Bo.
Broke out the Spencer's
can't drink
recovering
no
from
more.
yesterday. He's too young to understand the best thing he could do is have one more drink.
It's just one more.
It's like medication to your drunken
Is it?
soul.
Don't buckle under the peer pressure, kid.
I know. Like I'm like I don't know who to believe here.
But
Well,
but I'm not wrong, right?
No, it's called
there's
hair.
definitely truth to
not.
that.
Yeah.
But it's also probably good that you don't want to drink today after time went on last night.
Yeah.
I'm just mad that you didn't invite me. That's all I have to say.
Last minute occasion, like very last minute.
What was her name?
her name was Occasion.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, man, when we legit started this thing, it was definitely on a whim. And I have to say the biggest thing, I'm what I call an idea guy. I have all kinds of great ideas, but I'm not an execution person. So if it was not for Brad making the phone call to say, hey, come down here and let's talk about this podcast idea you had, and then us legit starting the record button. At that point, he really wrote me in for like 100 episodes. I had no responsibilities. I just had to show up and talk shit on a microphone. Then I could walk away. I didn't have to, which I still don't publish or mess with the like Instagram or Top Hill accounts too much. But it was just the fact that it would have never happened if you didn't go, all right, well, let's do it. It would have just been this idea. So the fact that, I got lucky enough to have you as a co-host and somebody to step in and kind of take the reins, man.
Damn, dude, you're going to make me cry.
Well,
Cheers to that, man.
yeah, no, it's
Shit.
true.
Facts,
It's absolutely true.
We need more of you in the world.
100%.
Just a bunch of idea guys in the room right now.
100%.
Well, and clearly, Neil, it rubbed off on you because I don't know how much you can show the room with the cameras, but this is a major shift.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
something you'd see on one of those home improvement shows or whatever. You know what I mean? Like a home turnover
man.
kind of
Get
thing.
DIY, flip my
Wild,
house.
dude.
Yeah.
And
Like-
we are going to do a home studio tour of this studio also
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man.
but it's beautiful. It
really
turned
is.
out great.
Yeah.
It did. It turned out.
And it sounds great.
It turned out way better than I thought it would. I have to say big thanks to the missus for letting me do whatever the hell I want to down here,
Go
dude.
on now.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, thanks, Kim.
Yes, thank you, Miss Kim.
She allowed it to the chaos to continue, So
She even cleaned 25 years of clothes and shoes out of the closet so
I
we
mean,
have storage space.
seriously,
Yeah.
That's love.
the most daunting task in the history of the world got taken care of in like 3 days. I was like, "You've got to be kidding
I
me!"
told her when I was down here and she was cleaning out, I said, I've never seen so many clothes for one person.
Yeah, we have our own goodwill. I mean, it's crazy. So she donated a ton to a bunch of coworkers and stuff. So all that worked out perfect. We decluttered. People got some good stuff that probably hadn't been worn in 14 years. So, yeah, man. I've got to say though, it's been another thing where. There was a little bit of sense of urgency, with the movement, and Brad coming down helping really figure out where we need to put panels and do all the stuff. I did the paint and all that stuff, but it was super strategic the way that we set it up this time, even out to this console right here beside me, which you said, hey, if I had it to do over again, I'd have something in the room and I'd have this set up like this, and that's how we did it. So, I think something that's cool on my end is you dig into stuff so well, and you always are trying to figure out, thinking about things analytically. So to come up with things like move this and do that, it
just with that your 4 years of experience, so all the mic preamps, having them in the control room, we were always having to run mic cords into the control room. Like, why not put those in the tracking space? Just little things like that. But everything has been. What is this? Our fourth recording in here, Earl? Is that right? Third recording. So, and it just seems like the flow. It seems like the flow is even with just three in here. It's more natural.
Mm-hmm.
Just from what you learn over 4 years, just the placement of everything and the setup.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
Yeah.
But then we got I think we got to talk too. about our boy Dusty and some other people, man. I think Dusty was one of them. You were one of them that came in when this was raw and new.
No, probably no lights.
You know, when we started the one shot, we were just figuring everything out. And, you know, guys like you that were willing to come in and take a chance helped immensely.
Man, it's funny you say willing to do it, because it was like, I want to say I saw it was Nick Dittmeyer did something with you guys, and I was like, oh yeah, these guys are like, you know, maybe they'll let me come on. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was a big deal for me too. You know, like just what all you guys have done for artists. Like it's really special. You know what I mean? Like it's having, not just getting to put more content out, but like it's like, you know, you guys are clearly like music fans. It's not just like people that want to just do a podcast to have a podcast. You guys are like legit, and you care, and you're like, you know, you are artists, you know. So it was happy to be part of it even then, you know what I mean? Like it was, but it's funny you say, you know, but yeah, I remember it's come a long way. It's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, even going off of that, I think about what Dusty's talking about. I just kept hearing the word validation over and over again. Y'all have validated a lot of artists in Louisville and the greater areas, the region, that may not have believed that they were still on track, that may not have felt called upon in a long time. And that call, what it does for a lot of us, as we were joking earlier about the thinkers and the ideas, is it gives us a chance to kind of alchemize and get our ducks in a row, get those songs ready, and also just to be seen, even if it's just by one more person. I mean, those I can trace back to the time I came, my very first time with you all, the one shot, and the conversation that we had going home, and then writing one or two more songs afterwards, because it's whenever somebody cares enough to ask the uncanned questions, they get uncanned answers, and you start answering questions about yourself you never even thought about. You know, and that's where the real like synergy goes and comes from, is people like you all giving us a chance to just kind of look in the mirror, you know.
Dude, I think not to jump in front of you, but validation, I think it flips in my perspective, probably our perspective, because I think that's
a two-way street.
It's totally two-way street, you know, because number one, for the artist to trust us enough to make the drive up the hill when you don't know where the hell you're going, thinking, all right, I'm going to a murder house. something crazy is going to happen in the forest. But to come up and trust us enough to try to get the best sound and be vulnerable in the room. And yeah, dude, I totally feel like you guys and the artists that come through this place validate what we're doing. And I think the biggest thing for us is there's just, and it's on both sides of the street, there's never an agenda. There's never been an agenda. This is not a get rich thing, because absolutely doesn't happen. Right. You know, it just feels like it always feels special in the room. And I think, number one, that's what we've always tried to do, is get what's in this room through somehow. And it's hard to do, you know, it's hard to create the feeling through video or through you know, headphones, but I do think that people get more of an authentic. Is it authentic?
Hey, we know what you mean.
You're already there.
You could have kept going.
I think I'm autistic.
Artistic, authentic.
Oh yeah, there you go. Artistic.
Authentic.
Yeah, dude. That's I think that's what we strive for, and I hope that people get that. But yeah, it's all for the love of the game, you know.
And that's something we've had conversations. This kind of reminds me of conversations that Neil and I have had. We want this platform to be open to everybody, you know, but so sometimes, you know, we have people contact us and you're trying to figure out, we want it to be somebody that music's an important part of their life, and this is not just a flash in the pan, you know. They've kind of demonstrated that they're in it.
Yeah.
But if it's really like they've never really had any exposure at all and nobody's heard of them, we still want to give them an opportunity to be on here.
Yeah.
You know, so when anybody that contacts us, we always ask them the same thing. You know, send us bios, send us your 4 best originals, and tell us some venues you've played in. And we listen to those and get back to people. And it's hard when you got to tell somebody, hey, maybe you're just not quite ready. Ready. It's tough to do that.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But that's a measuring stick. It's what I'm talking about. It's not a lack of the validation that I'm talking about is acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Just by you acknowledge, how many of those artists have been, in that exact same conversation, whether it happens by email or, text message or however it's happening on social media, and it's just like there's radio silence on the other end.
Oh, all the time. Yeah. It's like the worst thing when you're trying to do music is just not getting a response. I'd much rather just get, no, you're not the right fit. And I always appreciate that. And and to kind of bounce off what you said, I mean, what you all do here is special. And I'm not as well spoken as Scott, but you all doing it for the right reasons. I mean, that's why there's magic in these rooms. It's really is special, and it's cool to be part of it. Like kind of like Dusty said, I did a lot later episode when I came on, but when I got to do this was such a big deal to me because I had followed you all for a long time on Instagram. And I was like, you ain't shit if you don't do Top Hill. Like, how do I get on Top Hill? Like, that's how it felt. And so to get to, like, everybody that was somebody seemed to be coming on here, and I wanted to do it. And so to get to do that and now get to be part of it, it's I say every week, but it's the highlight of my week to get to come on here and do this.
Hey, that's going to be a quote on our, when we send out our email. If you ain't done Top Hill, you ain't shit. Well, man, I appreciate that. If anybody knows Earl, he is a man of very few words, especially today. Like, and it takes a little bit for you to like get comfortable. So it is real cool to kind of get to know Earl and have you get comfortable around us and be a part for sure. And it's been fun, dude.
Some of the acts we've met in here are just incredible. Like, I've become friends with some of these people. Like, I've lined up shows with, I'm doing a show with Zeno. I'm doing a show with TVLO and them. Like, when Buck the taxidermist was on the other day, he mentioned Carson Childers, who plays bass for Abby Hamilton. Then I met that motherfucker, came to the studio and played bass for me the next day. Shit. And I was like, I met your buddy like yesterday. It was so cool. Yeah, it's cool, and to get to do stuff with you all at the Monarch and all this it's a very interesting thing that you've put together, and not something that I see like other podcasts doing. Like, it's cool.
It's a community.
Yeah, man.
Really is. Yeah.
And just also finding out about through you all, I found out about Tyler Hood. I found out about Lee and Glory Days. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I can't remember his name now. Oh. Dang it! It'll come back to me. But they did a show for you guys with Tyler, the last Hillfig show. He opened for him. Jay Skaggs.
Oh,
yeah. Found out about all these great artists, through you. So it's been awesome on a lot of different dimensions. It's been cool getting to like the times when you needed some help with a co-host and whatnot. That was fun for me too, because it's like, who's the artist? Okay, let's check him out, do some research. And it's like, oh man, I want to ask him about this. You kind of get to nerd out with, talk about gear or just, creative processes and stuff. And it's been fun.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think that what you realize after doing it is the community. Mm-hmm. It is this Louisville music-based community it's special. It's not only special in the sounds and artistic vision of a lot of different styles, genres, approaches to music, the way that people think about music, but the way that people can intermingle between groups, musicians, players. You see the Blaze Grudy's sax player playing with everybody. You see the Ellie Roos playing and Crossing doing her own thing, playing with you. I mean, it's just, you have so many different people. Like you just mentioned the bass player that played with Buck the taxidermist. I mean, that it translates, man. It creates more of a through line through all these acts that I think bonds you. They make you want to support each other, and that's, I think, something that you get that if you don't get, I think we're right at that precipice where everybody is really rooting for each other.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what the city was missing. Me and Dusty have talked about that so many times. It's what's being cultivated right now at the Monarch.
Yep.
And it's just this idea that like Dusty Bo on any given day is his own man and can do his own thing. Mm-hmm. Mostly by yourself. It's always better with other people.
Absolutely.
But like when Dusty Bo and I are on stage together, and we got Ellie Ruth on stage.
Oh my God!
And we got so and so on stage, and we got so and so. I mean, like, now that is what
Magic.
I think some people call a happening.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
That's what this whole scene can be and should be and is starting to understand about themselves, is that we are just one big old mess making a whole bunch of messes together.
So you just named your thing, Scott Smith and the Happening, and whoever's up there, that's what's happening.
That's actually badass. That is a great
I really
name.
like the good listeners, but you know,
That's good too, but
Everybody shut up. You will listen, and you will listen good.
I love
man.
that. Scott Smith and the Happening. That's
What's ever on stage is what's happening.
So,
What?
you speaking of the Monarch, I was thinking, I wish we'd have
Episode
sent out.
198.
Yep, we'll have Mark back.
Yeah.
Or this would have been happening by now. We're recording kind of out
Yeah,
of order.
198, man.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
200.
Yeah. So, but I was thinking, it'd be interesting. I wish I would have sent that beforehand. Like, what do you like? We've talked a lot about it, but what do you like most about that's happening with Top Hill Recording Podcast? But then what would you like to see more of, or maybe some expansion of Top Hill Recording Podcast? And one thing that I would definitely like to see more of, and we've done a few, is the one mic at the Monarch.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That was really cool. But we had the way we're set up in the physical space, we just didn't quite have the sound that we wanted to have because the mic was a little too far from the stage. So we need to talk with Mark and figure out that mic placement piece. But I would love to get one mic at the Monarch going again.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Sounds like more work for me.
it's good for you.
You know what? Field trips. I like field trips to the Monarch, so I'm good there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But you had a good idea. And I don't know whether it's something you want to share now or not. I haven't really talked to Mark, but
I'm hoping that it works out. And we'll be talking to him tomorrow. So if it doesn't, all this will be edited totally out. But yeah, the idea was to do what Mark calls it, Top Hill Takeover at the Monarch. Mm-hmm. Where we have one night a month or whatever, where we have people that have been on the show have a set. Like the original idea was the 4 acts for that month come play the Monarch that month, and then the next 4 acts that are on the podcast previous month. But
I still like that.
We've had a couple acts that I don't want on.
That doesn't happen very often. Though. That doesn't happen very often, though.
There's probably 2 total.
2 or 3, yeah,
maybe 3 that I can think of. So that will be edited out. But yeah,
that's a cool concept, though.
Yeah, that way you're bringing people in. You're able to introduce new people to the Monarch and hopefully get more feet through the door, more memberships to the Monarch, and it gives these people a real exposure to a bunch of good listeners.
The musical diversity in a show like that, it could be, in 4 weeks over the podcast, you could have...
Let's think. All right, so we had Buck the Taxidermist, Sydney Sled, which you all haven't heard. So
we're about to sing together, bro.
Yeah,
we found each other, and we're about to start singing.
She's
unreal.
Their originals are awesome.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite.
Yeah, I just got done editing that.
Amazing.
And it's as good listening to it and editing.
Did you have to turn her microphone way down because she has a cannon?
No.
Oh my god.
She just kills it, dude.
It was crazy how much she projected. I saw her at the Monarch and I was blown away.
They've been together 7 months they've been playing out, she said.
7 months?
7 months. They're still new. She was did it for a long time.
Yeah, I think the 2 guys she brought in, one was from Indianapolis and one from
Seymour?
The
bass
Seymour,
player's from Indy. That guy is a monster.
Here's the problem. They're getting ready to move him off the bass. I begged her.
Is he a guitar player?
Going to keys.
He's a bass. He wants to play bass.
I saw him play keys and bass that night too, but he's a great bassist.
I said, Sydney, please get just get a keyboard player, man.
Bass. I was like, the things that he was doing.
He plays the right shit. He plays the intricate, beautiful shit that you should play as a bass player in a 3-piece band.
Well, maybe he'll keep writing the bass parts, and whoever plays bass, he'll just do what he tells them.
You know what, though? I hope they have the tastefulness in their hands that he has, because it is so well executed.
His harmonies were insane too. Like he walked in.
I know.
It was like,
I can't.
It was
I really
half of her vocals. He was locked in with her.
We talked about it
just,
on the podcast.
You're watching, and all of a sudden you're like, "What was that? Oh my God!" It's at the end of this, like 3/4 of the way through the song. He's hitting these harmonies. And you're like, "Geez, where have those been?"
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that show.
Oh, and then the week before that was
He's an interesting dude too.
We had Justin Miller the week before that, and then the week before that was Ill Vibe Tribe. So that's the 4: Ill Vibe Tribe, Justin
Now that would be
Miller,
a hell of a show.
Sydney Sled,
Ill Vibe.
They were fucking dope.
They were awesome.
Were they
Ill Vibe Tribe.
Yeah, it was like a rap group, but they had a live band.
Okay. I think I saw a clip from it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Get
that's
into it yet.
they got a real what'd you say?
They kind of reminded me of like Arrested Development, De La Soul, back to those days.
Good, real MCs.
Yes.
Yes.
It was cool.
True
It was really
MCs.
cool stuff, man. It was that I say this all the time, but that was one of my favorite acts too on here. They were great. Yeah, they were big fans of Survivor, and that's me and my wife's weekly day.
Dude, every time I pass Survivor on the thing, I go, I bet Earl's watching this right now.
I am.
Am I right? Yeah, I am.
Every week.
And that's what nobody said yet is that y'all. I think that so many times, whenever you were making jokes about having your own personal goodwill in there, and it's like whenever somebody is picking for their antique store or they're thrifting with this or they start a podcast, they generally only pick what they are have an affinity to.
Oh yeah.
Or their scope is narrow because they, as a person, have a narrow scope, and that's what nobody said yet on this show is that y'all, as people, y'all listen to everything, and I know that to be true. But as the supporters of this musical region, you all invite every single person.
Yeah, that's really cool.
All sounds.
About the
like
music,
it's not
man.
just the songwriter. It's not just the guys with guitars. It's like, no, it's everybody.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
I appreciate that.
We try to. Yep.
And it is. You're right. It's I think that's part of the charm of this musical city and areas that there's a lot of people I think have that grew up with everything. Grew up with a mixture of from Southern rock to hip hop to the start of rap back in the day. I mean, it's just there's so many different genres. I mean, and then I think about all the jazz kids that we've had in here, all the Louisville School of Music and Bellarmine musicians. Yeah, I mean, there's so many that have come through that take that flavor and do something totally original with it, and you're just like, what the hell did I just listen to? That was amazing. You just blew my mind. I think of the Kianas and the players in that band and Ray Keys and just think about how really lucky we are that they come in and choose to share that with us, because there's just so many good musicians and players and thinkers, original thinkers in this area. It's been awesome. Been fortunate. We've been fortunate.
Yeah, man, y'all get a lot of like just up front, like intimate performances. Just you all.
It's
crazy.
Like,
you know what I mean?
It's unbelievable.
That's yeah. I remember seeing. I think it was David Letterman on something. He was just talking about how one of his favorite things about all doing what he did was he had a live performance music every show.
And he was
like,
a music lover.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, man, and same thing with you. You know what I mean? You just have but it's also, you guys just see it's just you in the room with them. So that's pretty special.
It is. And I think that you find yourself, you love more stuff because of it.
Mm-hmm.
You dive in. It's so hard not to love something in the room where it's being created and performed. I can't think of anywhere I've really been like, that was terrible. Even the things that I was talking about earlier that just wouldn't fit at the Monarch or something like that. Even in the room, it was fun. It was still a good time. It was still a good vibe, and it created something in that moment that's unmistakable. So,
I think about Darlington Pears. They just had
good Lord, they were at the Monarch last night.
I've been trying to figure out their
Friday.
names. I have a real bad recall, and I've been trying to
sitting in the room with them and watching him play.
Does Fiona play with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was the first one that I watched of y'all's. Your one shot that I knew something was like I knew there was a happening going on up on this hill. Like, you know, I love that phrase. It's one I heard in that Andy Kaufman movie, the Man on the Moon.
Oh yeah.
Whenever he would take over a space and just do what his brain wanted to do with it. And then recently I heard the shaman poet himself, Ron Whitehead, talk about all the happenings that used to be going on Bardstown Road, and I was like, well, where are? And I was like, well, I can tell you right now, they're still happening. They're still happening, and like that's one of those examples of just Darlington Parish couldn't exist if it wasn't for the ecosystem that has been built by things like this. You all are one of the pillars, one of the monoliths in that.
I remember the conversation with his name's Skylar, I think. Is that right, Skylar?
Yeah.
So,
God, dude, your memory is crazy. Your brain's nuts.
But he's that dude just has a different brain. It was so interesting just to sit and talk to him. He's on a different level.
I was watching. They're preparing for their release show at the Monarch, and I guess something happened with the printer. So he had here's an ASMR video of me cutting this paper with, I think it was like a lyric sheet or something that he made individually for every one of those that were going to be out at the Monarch or something crazy. I mean, it was just, he's like, yeah, here you go. It's just like, nobody else would do that. I wouldn't take the time to do that. I'd be like, well, it'll be in a week. I'll send it to you when it gets here. But he thinks so completely. When you think like some of the stuff that they were playing, there's just examples of that, like Ellie Ruth and other people that they play stuff and you go, I wouldn't have thought of that. I would have never, my brain doesn't work like that. I mean, it's wild. Wild. I don't even know how to spell. I need more of that though. Will you hand me that bourbon? I'll tell you, let's get some bourbon. Yeah, just give me that.
Glass. You want some more?
Yeah, I'll take a little top
Episode 200, man. You got to have a little more than.
So I was telling Neil, it's hard to. We pulled out a bottle of Weller for episode 200 because it's so hard to find now. Which those of us that have been drinking bourbon for a while, that still kind of blows my mind.
Splash, might as well. It's Sunday.
It's Sunday.
Weller,
dude, it's like
Weller is now really a special reserve. You used to be able to go in, and you used to be able to go into a liquor store, and there would be 48 bottles of Weller on the shelf. And now
it's behind the counter.
You can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's behind the counter. It's $100.
Matter of fact, not only that, you could go in anytime you wanted and get Weller 12-year-old for less than $30 anytime you wanted.
Speaking of Ron Whitehead, have you guys had him on the show yet?
No, that'd be a great one.
Dude, so I met him right before me and Luke Powers. Luke introduced me to him because he was part of his band for a bit, right before we left to go to LA. So this was like 2008. And he was wanting to record a record. And
I remember when he recorded a record
at Ratterman Funeral Home.
What?
He did it in the funeral home?
Which is now that Cuban. It's my favorite restaurant in Louisville. That La Bodequita Mima. Mm-hmm. Shout out to them. Amazing.
Where's
food.
that at?
Great food.
It's on Main Street, like down a Nulu, big yellow building.
It's so good.
It's.
Oh, okay. I know where it's at. I know where you're at.
Hot. Couldn't recommend it enough. It's seriously incredible. I go there as much as I can afford to.
Did they deliver to Fairdale?
No. Yeah. You got it, man.
Next time you're in the downtown area, it's real. Try it. Best mojitos I've ever had. Like it's great, but it used to be Ratterman Funeral Home.
Brad won't go downtown, man. It's got he refuses to go anywhere that has more than 250 people within a square with a 300 mile square radius.
Every now and then I'll cross the outer loop.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. So he had probably 16 different people record. One of them was Andy Cook, who was playing drums. Andy works at Rocker Built Studios. He's a great drummer, amazingly talented artist. But we had one rehearsal. I was playing bass.
Oh, you bass played?
I played bass on this record. We recorded. I didn't play on every song, but we recorded 30 songs in one night.
What?
1 to 2 takes maximum. Ron was like, if unless there was like a train wreck, you know what I mean? Which didn't really happen because everybody kind of did their homework.
Yeah.
But it was just like so many of it, like I didn't know anybody other than Luke, and then I got through that. I got to meet like Tyrone Cotton.
Okay,
and getting to hang out with Ron was really cool because I had like heard about him and stuff. But
we gotta get Tyrone Cotton.
He'd be great on.
I sent Tyrone a message this week. Actually, I did. He just had a song release this week, so if you are listening now, go check it out. Tyrone Cotton's a daggone legend, man.
Yeah, he really is. Dude.
He's a legend.
Yeah, but anyways, it was just we mentioned Ron. Thought I'd share that. You guys should for sure get him on here.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he's got.
He got a story or two, doesn't he?
So many.
We still have so many people to get on here. You know, so 200 more, man. To 200
more.
Yeah, man.
Because that will not be hard to fill.
No, I don't think so. I think we'll be all right to fill 200.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I was thinking about that I don't think anyone has really thought about this podcast in particular is there are so many bands that come through here that are full electric bands, or they are like I know Ill Vibe Tribe, they use like a vocal corder and all kinds of stuff while they perform live on stage. But these bands, like, they don't really know that kind of showing up. So whenever they show up, they're like, okay, we have to break it down. And I almost feel like that's part of the magic that they have to break it down to a certain point. You
got to adapt.
Yeah. And especially there was one song where I know that they used vocal corder to almost drop tune his voice. And while they were listening to it, they were like, we almost like it without the vocal corder. Like, this sounds dope. We never thought about doing it this way.
In his one shot, he got to one part of the song. He said, I can't really sing, but here it goes.
And it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
The biggest thing about that, Spencer, I would say, and good point, is the level of trust that people give us, because I think, once you walk in knowing the sound that other people get out of the recordings, they walk in and go, all right, I trust you.
Yeah.
So we don't need an amp. We don't need this. We don't know. Just put it all to the side. If we need to, I think for the first time ever for Sydney and those guys, we used acoustic amp for her guitar. That was the first time we used anything for an acoustic guitar, because she plays a really, really quiet finger pick. So we threw it in the back. It made the mix good, but it was still in this room. It wasn't anything outside.
And the flip side of that coin is, if you do have an all electric band, you know, that's heavier or whatever and uses certain tones on their guitars and things, we go with the amps too. It's fine. You can have as many amplifiers and things as you want. You know, the only rule we have is one mic. So we'll place the amps in the room to get the best balance. So anybody can come in here.
Yeah.
You know, you can come in here and be used to being full electric and go full electric.
Yeah, you can bring your your 410 Marshall stack, but it's going to be real low.
That's the thing we tell people. If you've got one of those old tube amps that's got to be cranked to 5 to get the tone you want, you're not going to be able to do it in here.
Yeah, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, I think it's cool every week. I feel like every time, almost, when artists come in, they're like, you really just use one mic? And it's like, yeah. And I've seen a couple, even the Ill Vibe Tribe were a little nervous about just using the one mic. The guy's like, I don't know if this is going to work out. We did sound check and he listened. He's like, holy shit, this is great. And it's always cool to just see people's face light up when we do a sound check, and then they go and listen and go, oh shit, one mic.
That's always the best
compliment. It is so cool.
People come in here all the time. They say, I didn't think there was any. I told them there's no way they do that with one microphone. And then they come in here and see that we do, and it's always a good compliment to hear that.
Yeah. It's cool to see, because it's hard to believe that the kind of sounds you get from this room with just one mic, and it's great.
Brad's a magician. With
well, I do feel like we've definitely learned a lot about, how moving the mic 4 inches closer to somebody can change the frequencies and tone of their voice.
Yeah.
And, it's...
Also learned the difference between my 4 inches and Brad's 4 inches. Move 4 inches.
It's so
That's right,
cool.
right?
Shit.
Relative.
It's rad too because that's how a lot of recordings were done back in the day. Like when it was just like the you just it came down to the performance.
And that's why old recordings are magic.
Yeah.
That's why people love them because there's
feeling.
something cool about dudes in a room or a band in a room just playing. There's not you can't really I mean, you can. Most things are done like tracked out now, but there's nothing like just a band in a room.
And we've had several people publish their one shots.
Yeah.
You know what I think?
Streaming services and things. Yeah.
Awesome.
A lot of them.
I think about the one take stuff and the one how it used to be, and I think of like when Ray Charles recorded Georgia and having a string section in the room, and if you didn't nail it, you did it over. There was no cutting and pasting and doing all that the stuff. It was you're catching the room, and like you said, man, there is something special.
It's something you cannot get anywhere else. Even like you said, even acts that come in here that aren't necessarily your style of music. When you just hear them in a room and you're like part of that performance, you're seeing something special, and that's why I think we all are music fans. Is there?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk every episode. You ask what's like the first thing you remember about music that made you want to do it, and my answer to that was as soon as I saw someone play music as a kid, like a band, there was something about it that I'm like, that is something I have to figure out how to do.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I think that's
really
another thing, that we've had people come in here, and it's probably great advice for anybody when they're rehearsing as a musical group. But people come in here and talk about how preparing for the one mic has made them a better band, because you gotta listen to one another. I mean, we tell people all the time, we're going to place the mic and put it in a place to make you sound the best. But once we push record, you're mixing yourselves.
Yeah.
If somebody has a lead that you want to stand out in front, everybody else has to back off. If people don't rehearse that way,
it can get real messy.
Yeah. You can't go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
You have to have dynamics in this room.
Yeah. I think it does. It does help prepare. You got people that come in that do spend that time, especially if it's a band that do it. I think it teaches you how to listen. If it's not something you're used to, it is super important. Are we recording? No, we are.
Get out of here, bro.
No,
but that's why I was like playing around with that name, The Good Listeners. I remember like being with that band I was talking about, the Danny Markhams of the world.
Is that when you played outside in just
Castle and Key, just out in the middle of nowhere?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen that band. I was like,
bourbon
Lord.
fanatics. They don't even know what they witnessed. And like that's why, like, The Good Listeners, like, there's nothing like a group of talented people that all trust one another, that are just listening, like, for what's coming next. Like, because once you learn how to listen in real time, then there's this whole thing that nobody talks about a lot, because we don't like, musicians are already kind of on the edge. We don't want to talk too loud about like what's right beyond us. And that's, when you start listening really well as a band, that's when it gets to a whole nother level. And that's what we talked about that night. I'll never forget that. We all came off stage and we all just agreed that was like one of the more psychic performances we've ever been a part of as people.
It was wild.
Like, you can start to hear what's coming next if you're really listening in the now. And that's just a special thing. I mean, like, and no one talks about it either. Like, there's not a lot of recording of me. I think a lot of people are frustrated, myself included.
I was too, and I was trying to learn all your shit. What are these songs? I can't find them. I see these ones.
But nobody knows.
Welcome to my world.
I love that y'all do the one mic, one shot, because with me, a lot of people don't know this, is like, it's really hard to record me. Like, somebody ever has a minute with Ben Soley that's a nerd for production, pull him aside and ask him about recording my project Wanted Man. It took us months, because when I get in a studio, all the things of today don't work. I'm being so serious. Things like, this man is like making full movie compositions in his studio, and I'd come over just to track vocals, and like half of his studio in software would be like crumple. He'd be like, I've been in here all day, and there's something about that. Like, when you overcomplicate things, it just doesn't capture some folks, and I don't know what that is. I don't have to ever know what that is.
Interesting.
But, like, the simplicity of what you're doing is also what allows the magic to be captured. Magic doesn't like to be captured.
Well, sometimes, man, a lot of people need all those the new technology. To
I
sound
need a little
good.
magic.
I got enough for you, baby. I got a little. You can
Yeah, so
do it just fine.
there is a you think about like super crazy powerful vocals. You think about the Aretha Franklins. You think about God. Just go back to the old Motown days of just singers. Some people that belt stuff, even Mariah Carey's and that's before crazy technology. That's when you're reel to reel. You're doing other things, and all you really need is a microphone that can handle, a diaphragm that can handle your vocals and get out of the way. What are you going to do? Put reverb on your voice? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I mean, just sing. Figure out the place where you're not going to kill a microphone and capture the vibe. That's because I think I don't have a great memory, but there are shows that I remember, there are concerts that I remember, there are things that I remember that just absolutely stand out. And Scott, I'll never forget Nulu Street Fest, where
100%.
At the end of the night, they shut you down. You said, you ain't shutting me down.
Yep.
And we ended up having a 1993 MTV music video in the middle of the street down on, I mean, it was...
I've heard about that from a lot of
I was
places.
literally going to say that when you were talking about adapting. I was literally going to mention this story, so I'm glad you brought it up because you told me about it. I wasn't there, but you told me about it, and I hered it from other people too. I was like,
it was magic.
Damn it!
Dude.
I wish I was there.
That's the thing about it, man. That is strip all the stuff away, take away the technology, get rid of everything that's going to make you sound big in this space. You didn't need it to create something that was something that everybody that stayed, including Ben and including Ellie, they'll never forget that. How could you? I mean, it didn't matter what was plugged up. It probably mattered more that it wasn't. And I think a lot of times people, walk in a studio and go, well, you don't have every hardware piece, and you don't have a Neumann, you don't have an amp that I'm looking for, this plug-in or whatever, and maybe think that the studio sucks or get discouraged. But at the end of the day, it's, what are you trying to capture? What are you trying to get? Are you trying to be true to the music? Are you trying to be true to just getting out the feel? What's the vibe or whatever? So, it's music. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a big old rant about nothing.
No, man, I'm glad you brought it up because I remember you telling me about that after we did a podcast here. And I was like, damn, man, I really wish I would have, because that's,
It was special, man.
Yeah.
There was moments in this world that are just you remember forever, and I think anybody in that setting will remember that.
I'm gonna ask Earl and Scott and Dusty. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. So, you guys have been on this side, and you've been on both sides of Top Hill Recording Podcast. What would you like to see? How would you like to see Top Hill Recording Podcast evolve and develop from this point forward? What do you kind of see that you like, man, it'd be cool for you guys to get involved in this, or grow in this area, or do more of this? Does anything stand out in those areas?
Yeah, I got something. I would like to see, just if you guys got some sponsors that would help grow the brand, like, so where more people would find out about it. Because, like, to me, it's crazy that, I mean, clearly you guys have, like, grown a bunch from the start of things, but, like, it's wild to me to see how much you all have done and how many artists you've worked with, and it's not like a nationally, it shouldn't say that, because you've had international artists, but as far as like almost being like a household, like, you know what I mean, like almost Tiny Desk kind of thing, where it's like you've done so much, and like to see if you guys had some people that would put some money behind it or whatever, like some sponsors that would do something to help just market and advertise the thing, to where you're not coming out of your own pocket, because you're already doing so much. So that's the one thing we've talked about, that as far as like, because like especially with some of these whiskey companies, I don't know if it needs to be Brown and Foreman or liquor
They got
barn.
pockets. I'll take Brown Foreman.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But that's something that I think, would help tremendously, because if that came, if that was a thing, like, and then you got some, like, some big, really well-known artists that would come in, and that could be another thing too, if you got some, a Sturgill or a Childers or somebody like that to come in and do something. It's like, boom, awesome. That would skyrocket things, and I think that would help,
As far as the sponsors, we've kind of been on the threshold a couple of times. It's probably just a lack of us really pushing ourselves, but we've kind of been at the doorstep a couple of times, but nothing's really developed.
Yeah.
And we do have some monthly sponsors that have been loyal to us.
Those are just
we got ER. They're humble people. They wouldn't want us to mention them, but we got ER and RW. Thank you guys, but but it would be great. I mean, we're not in this for the money, but it would be great if it didn't cost us.
And also if it was just a thing, like if it would be a thing that you guys, it was what you did for a living. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's very feasible and possible. And then
I think that really with sponsorship, you get legitimacy from people that need those things. You know what I mean? It would be great for us, but it also does look good if it was like, hey, these cameras were bought by so-and-so, our sponsor.
Sure.
Because it would be great to upgrade in some areas immediately, like cameras. I would love to have standalone cameras in this room. There are so many things that if there was a little bit of money behind it that didn't come out of our pockets, that'd be cool. So, I mean, sponsorships would be great, but I also do believe, like Brad said, I've never reached out to a sponsor. That is, again, not my brain.
Well, maybe that's something we'll look into.
There, it's
I'll bother people.
Yeah,
I love Earl
for sure.
And I'll say, like, I do
think we're at a point where we've got something we could give someone.
For sure,
you have something great to give someone.
Yeah.
It's special to everybody, I think, in this room and everyone who comes in here. This is something really neat that you're doing. It's important not just to us in the room, but to the whole community and kind of beyond that too. It's a big thing.
What else were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the thing that I'm most excited about that is Studio C, honestly, is like, I think that's going to be dope. Like, there's a lot of even local music festivals around. We'll haul that son of a bitch out there and do some, I don't know if you ever watched like Jam in the Van video.
Just thinking,
that's the kind of thing I imagine out there.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking, okay? I thought about this the other day. If Studio C comes to life, which it has to because we talked about it.
We've put it out in the...
So, we got the big awning on that. It's a 18-foot awning, so it's huge. It's the biggest. So pop that sucker up, put the lights around it, put a little bonfire right in the middle. I've got the sound wall that we could put on the outside of that, and then that's the video. We're right on the outside of it, and that's what we're going to record.
That'd be awesome.
We could also hang sound blankets around that awning if needed. But
I mean, how great would those recordings
right
be?
Outside.
You've got a musician in there doing a one mic, and you can hear the festival noise outside.
Oh my God,
people talking. That would be awesome.
It'd be wild.
It'd be great.
It'd be killer. So I mean, that's so we have we're in communication with like Fuzzy Pig, so that may be one that we do this year, and hopefully a couple more. I would like, we'll talk about reaching out to the Bourbon and Beyonds and the Railbirds and stuff like that, because like I do think that a couple hundred episodes. I think what you talked earlier, we got 500 plus videos out on YouTube now.
Yeah, well over 500.
Well over 500 videos out. A ton of different musicians and artists and.
There's a substantial library on one mic, one shot, one song now.
With as consistent as you guys have been, I think it would be stupid for somebody not to invest in it or to sign up and be like want to help it grow. Because it's just you'd be advertisement for them or whatever. But either way, that's and I think it's just a. It's going to happen.
And beyond that, I think you have to think about the sustainability for you all. And this is something we need to be talking about a lot more. It's something I'm talking about at tables that I'm sitting at when it comes to people trying to make policy and trying to do this for the community and do that for the community. Everybody's talking about what they want to see happen, but nobody ever talks about what they have the capacity and the bandwidth to do. And that's where... that's the margins where people's dreams become reality. That's where it happens, is within that bandwidth and the sustainability of what you're doing. And you all have already chosen and proven that what you're doing is sustainable. But I think that, what you've done with Black Magic's software is like, it needs to be known by Black Magic. This is the kind of stuff like my brain.
I hear you,
there.
Scott Smith. Let's put it out there.
Like, and I'm sitting here going like, if you have a dream, all you need to do is collect all the phones that are not destroyed by your family and like get that software. But also Black Magic, it's time to give these boys some cameras. Like they're already killing the game with like with your switchboard and your software. Like, and that's where the ideas become realities, right? And on top of that, this is a humanities endeavor. You all are positioned and postured for grants.
I've thought about grants.
This is a Kentucky humanities situation. You are investing in the community, and people's lives are enriched because of this. So, it's things like that, and you can't do it without that inroad that you've already cut. It's just time for, this is what, second, third season. It's time for this TV show to get like a couple million in studio grants from Warner Brothers. And then the next thing you know, you're like, did you see they got so-and-so on that show? It's like your favorite TV shows. That happens to them all the time when they get X amount of like,
we get a grant like that, Neil. I'll fly in every Monday.
Hell yeah. Private, because you have a private jet.
The pilot season of The Office had 6 episodes.
Yes.
And season 2 had like 23.
Exactly.
I mean, different, you know what I mean?
But that's what I'm saying. Still, when I say like the studio money, that's what I'm joking about is like, some of these sponsorships that Brown-Forman does, it doesn't travel really far in festival land. When you're talking about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it takes to actually move those mountains for said festival, a $5,000 sponsorship or a $10,000 sponsorship, that doesn't do much for them. But when it comes down to you all, like you give you guys $10,000, you just got studio cameras.
Yeah, right,
you know what I mean? Like
we going to Sizzler. We are going to Sizzler, boys. Every buffet on me.
Oh my gosh! But,
dude, we
always tell ourselves. I mean, we've talked about this so many times, and we tell ourselves, if we just keep doing what we're doing for the reasons we do what we're doing, something's going to break.
For sure.
Something's going to break. But on the other side of that, we also know we're not probably doing what we should. I mean, we haven't paid for any advertising. Yeah. The only time, if you ever see a sponsored Instagram post from Top Hill, it's because I used that $25 coupon they put out there every now and then. And it's like there's pieces of that it just irks me. It just irks me that you have to do those things. If I don't know, but I mean, gosh, we could have an hour discussion about Instagram. What I learned about that as a 56-year-old man.
Now you're just but you're in the quandary of an artist too. Everything you said, I'm like, my music career. It's like everybody that's doing anything is going to feel that way. But I think that when you were talking about what I like to see from you all, I think it's time to deputize your clientele, the people that have been lucky enough to be in this room and that feel like they're a part of something. It's like, honestly, it's good for me to be up here because it reminds me that I'm a part of something. And like, if you all had something to where we could walk around and be like, yeah, I'm a Top Hill artist,
oh yeah.
I think it's important. I'm like noticing right now on all these things I'm a part of, or all the things that are in Louisville that are gaining traction quickly and going to become a name for the next 10 years or hopefully more for some of these companies that are popping up. I think about Creative Connect, for Louisville, and I think even about the Monarch, it's the deputization of the individual that's participating. Because once I feel like I have some type of agency in the space where I can make calls, where I can say, hey, you know what? I'm a Top Hill artist, and I was out on the road, and man, I think you need to go talk to these folks here, and you give them the card, or you give them hey, you need to reach out to them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And like, that's where you're going to see things happen. Because like, Dusty was talking about, the legitimacy of it is already there. You get a couple big names coming through. I think that's going to happen between your partnership with the Monarch and WFPK. It's just like I'm a part of something right now called Storyville. Me and a friend dreamed up this multifaceted or whatever you want to call it, this genre type art festival where you bring the conscious social entrepreneurs in. They got their businesses that are killing it, but are also caring about their external impact on water, air, whatever it is. The Louisville Canopy. There's tons of companies that are out here making lots of money as capitalists, and then also talking about socialist issues, because that we're all here, you know.
Yep.
And then you got these people coming in who are saying that they are storytellers. We've got people who are going to be participating that are, they got a family of 5 and they're just trying to figure out how to like cultivate creativity in their household. You got the living, working artist who doesn't know that they are yet, or that already is and needs help on the financial literacy side of things. And it's called Storyville. We're building it out of the Portland neighborhood. It's going to be a couple times a year. We're starting this March, and then we're going to have another one in September. But the bottom line is that, like, as we're talking about these things, I'm noticing that if we create a space where the WFPKs, the Top Hills, the Earl Bowmans, the Spencer Corbins, who's like right on the cusp of figuring out where your name and place and that hat that you're going to hang on things. Like, I already got my hat and I move it around a little too damn much. Like, so does Dusty. But like, it's a multi-generational game. And right now, we're all playing it by ourselves in our own little corners and not talking to anybody that's behind or forward. And I think that, like, that's what I want to see from y'all. I want to see like this deputization that turns into the like alchemy of the community. Like, okay, yeah, Scott T. Smith, I sign on to be a Top Hill artist. Yeah. And I'm gonna go talk about it.
I'm totally into it. How do we put that forth to artists and get them to really feel that they are a part of it? It
starts right here.
Good.
It starts with the people that you've had guest host. And I think that from there, you'll know when you have a next guest host. I think you'll know based upon the way it felt in the room, you know, they not only respected the space, but they get it.
Yeah.
You know when somebody gets it.
It would be, that's a great idea, to where it's almost like a relay or something. Like, you know, I do a guest host spot, and then I recommend somebody, almost like bring him in. Hey, you need to go do this. Recommend an artist, or, you know, they're going to have somebody on, whatever. You may not know anything about them, or like if you want to, if you want to bring somebody in that you like or whatever, but, you know, go and do a guest host thing and promote the brand.
Here we go.
Whatever. Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
We're
along those lines.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Recommendation for a next guest host. Who would you say? This is
Luke
gonna
Powers.
Oh, Luke Powers.
I'll tell you who mine is, and I've already had
yours
some conversation.
Yours is gonna be mine.
Katie did it.
Yep, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah, she's
a
great.
badass.
Yeah, she's all right. Scott, who would your?
Man, I'm already like, you see me go around.
Earl.
Catherine Brooks.
Oh yeah. Catherine Brooks would be a good one. What do you think, Spencer?
I would probably have to say, I would like to see. All right, Scott. I'm gonna lob it on over to you because I just blank.
I'll go with the low-hanging fruit. I'll go with the low-hanging fruit because, like, here's the one thing. I'll say 2 things. Sydney Sled, obviously.
Yep.
That's low-hanging fruit, right? Because there's a personality in that person that is an entertainer, right? The entertainer and the talent, that's a cool thing. You can recognize that, and I think we can encourage it. But I'm also sitting here going, like, thinking of people I want to see co-host, like Ellie Ruth.
Yeah.
I know that it would take Ellie 1 to 2 episodes
to
like
relax.
Somebody else over here.
Yeah,
just
to relax.
settle in, like, has some good ideas, some really poignant things to say, you know.
But you know, another side of it, though, I bet Ellie could pull in some great guests.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's
we
what's
probably
gonna,
haven't had.
Aaron Tyler would be great too.
Oh my gosh,
Aaron-
that shit
Aaron-
talking.
Tyler Lance Walker Gill.
Backwoods Indiana.
Tyler Lance Walker Gill.
Blues.
Oh, yeah.
That would be. Or
Blues
what
playing.
about doing a crossover?
Tyler Lance Walker Gill be a good one. Yeah,
Doing a honky
that boy
tonkin'
on the
Tuesday
show right now. Where you at,
crossover with
brother?
Top Hill.
That'd be a song.
Top Hill honky tonkin' is what it can be called.
Top Tonkin.
Yeah, Top Tonkin. There we
a
go.
Top Hill Tonkin with Tyler Lance Walker Gill.
Yeah.
Tyler Walker. Read
Tyler
that.
Walker.
Whose was yours to be?
I was going to say
took
Katie.
yours.
I was going to say
No,
Katie.
no,
All
it's
right, you
gone.
took it.
Yeah.
Did we? We never had Trap back on either. He was supposed to co-host, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But we had to cancel that episode for some
You know
reason.
who'd be an interesting co-host?
Who?
Jay Skaggs.
Jay Skaggs.
He would be.
He would be.
Aaron Biebelhauser would be really great
Yes,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Biebelhauser would
Well,
be
you know,
on. He's
Kiana
just.
Dell
He's
on
such a
YouTube,
cool
too.
dude.
Kiana Dell would be
she
great.
is the radio personality.
She is. She's got the radio voice.
I would bet 3 of my guitars on it that almost every musician artist you've had on the show would love to be a co-host.
That's kind of how I feel.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would be. It's because it's fun. You know, and
It
it's
is
like
cool, though.
especially
It's exhilarating,
yeah,
for sure. Like,
yeah, especially after getting to know you guys and after being on it. You know what I mean? And seeing that you all give a shit. It's like so does every other musician. And it's like it's especially if it was whether it's somebody they don't know. Like when I came on and I think Buddy Crime.
Buddy Crime.
You know, and it was so cool because like I only listened to a couple of his songs. I didn't watch any of his
We got to
videos
tell
yet.
Buddy Crime's story.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
Yeah,
it,
go ahead.
but either way, it was just like, you know, he usually has a different kind of production, performs to a track.
Yeah.
He brought in a guitar and brought in a keyboard and played like his drum beat, like the drum machine, and was like super different.
And
Yeah. So-
I had a blast.
Before you say this story, I will follow to tag that. You talk about vulnerability. You're taking a person that has put
He
in
opened himself up.
Yeah.
He did. He absolutely. So caveat this first.
All right. So he came in to do his one shot, and we got everything set up, and he was prepared to do his one shots with backing tracks and recorded tracks, and we were like, oh God. I mean, Neil and I, man, we were like,
We were trying to
we
figure
were
out.
heartbroken. Like, how are we
Yeah.
going to tell this dude? So we're just like, man, we don't do recorded tracks on here.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be performed live.
Yeah,
and
so
he
it
was
wasn't
like,
gonna work.
he's like, okay, give me 2 weeks.
No, he was at first. He's like okay, and was sad, and we were like,
No, we want you.
we want you
to
back.
come back. We're not telling. Yeah,
Yeah.
We're not saying no.
and then he said, okay, give me 2 weeks. And he went.
Cool.
He went away for 2 weeks, and he came back and
Totally
did his
reworked.
songs.
Put in his work.
Yeah,
put in
Yeah.
his work.
yeah, and it was good.
It was,
You know,
dude.
yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Like
Yeah.
it was very cool.
But you were there,
Yep.
and you could see not only the vulnerability but the nerves.
For sure.
He was so
Way out of his comfort
nervous.
zone. Yeah.
You know, that's the
about-
first time he's ever done that.
Yes.
with his Buddy Crime show.
Yes.
I mean, nothing like that.
And
Yeah.
if you watch a live performance or listen to any of the recorded tracks, it is
Night and day.
electronic music.
Yeah.
It is high energy. It is in your face. Very, very entertaining stuff to watch and listen to. So to be able to do that and be
It took some courage.
So much
it took
courage.
Some courage.
Yeah.
Like that was one of my favorite episodes for that fact, and I
And I'm
hope
so
he
glad
understands
I'm
that.
so glad it turned out good. It turned
Yeah,
out great.
man.
Yeah,
It was cool.
Totally.
But that was a cool story.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I
Yeah.
almost forgotten about that.
But dude, you know, there you go.
Yeah.
So many people would love, so many artists that have been on the other side of the mic would love. I would literally bet
Oh, most of them
a few of
would
my
want to
guitars
come
that
on. Yeah.
90% of them would be
for
like,
sure.
hell yes.
When you asked me
I'm
that
down.
day, I was not even I was just like, what? And you're like, do you want to host tomorrow? And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like,
because
of course.
and that
like,
kicks something off at the Monarch
It's hard to think of
too.
ourselves
Like,
like
'cause Scott was one of the, I think actually the only as of now artist that's hosted a show there. And that got Mark's gears churning. It's like we should have a thing where, you know, once a month an artist hosts the show.
And hopefully Mark's at home with his feet up on the
Yeah,
couch.
so he can just
Like,
chill.
that's kind of where I'm
Well,
like, not only are you hosting it, but I'm sure I know.
Yeah,
okay.
You know what? I do appreciate the fact that he's, well, at this point has been on the podcast, but it's coming in tomorrow because there is a show tomorrow at the Monarch.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's cutting away
Music
and getting
Mondays,
night,
baby.
talk about things and to really, you know, break down what he's put together in the past couple years. And from, you know, you guys were all there. I'm sure Earl's probably had some real early conversations and walked through that building before there was anything in there. When he just got the key and has an idea and a thought process on, you know, I remember walking through it going, I mean, it's a great idea. Is it going to work? I don't know. I hope it works. I don't know how are you going to keep the lights on? You're not selling anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're not selling alcohol. You're not selling food. Mark, I love the idea. I love
He's a business mind. He would be a great one to ask a lot of these questions we talk about tonight.
Yeah. So, but you know, that was my thought is will people really buy into this? Because I guess coming out of, you know, 2020 and as much division as there is in the nation and politics and stupidity and all the dumb shit that we have to worry about, this, I just worried, are we in a time where people will really come together and support something that's not for sale, which is artistic?
Well, you know, we've been talking about Sydney Sled. She brought the Monarch up.
Everybody
so
brings the Monarch up.
She plays, you know, her band's out of town. You know, they're out of towners. They're in different areas. So when they rehearse at the Monarch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody comes to Louisville. And,
yeah, dude. That, I mean, we literally have we not talked about the Monarch?
Every episode I've been on, I've mentioned
we talked about.
That's how I ended up on here.
Shout out Mark Roberts.
Yeah.
Shout out Mark Roberts
And Vanessa. Indiana. Pete.
Tara.
Oh, yeah.
It
God,
ain't
how
been
could I
the
forget
same
Tara? Oh, my
since
God.
Tara got home. Can we talk about the shows coming up?
T-Bird.
y'all? Can we talk about the shows coming up? What?
Yeah, dude.
Robert Ellis.
Yeah.
Friggin'
Parker
my
McCollum.
boy.
Or Parker Millsap.
Millsap with the rock that hurts. The voice that hurts your feelings.
He's nasty.
And Joe Pug, come on. Joe Pug, who? What? The working songwriter himself. I'm jockeying to interview him there. Like, hey, let's flip the script, boy.
Hey,
let's sit down.
What's up? Let's go. Top Hill East.
Yeah, so you know,
Top Hill Takeover. I like that.
Yeah,
Top Hill Takeover at the Monarch. That's cool.
We hope it works.
Well, that's what
man.
they have at, like, you know, the Whiskey Jam thing in Nashville. They'll have, like, you know, every once a month or however often they'll have a label or a songwriting group or a publishing group that'll be, you know, the so-and-so takeover at Whiskey Jam. So I think that's awesome. You know, you have some, even if it's just, you know, no, it would be cool if it was like 4 artists and just, you know, so you can have, or however many,
each,
2 to 4. It's like,
out.
but everybody that's playing that night has to be.
No, it'd be cool. This is just off the top. Just thought of it. Whatever comes out of speakers out of one mic.
Say it again.
Whatever comes out of the main speaker is one mic. It's just the same concept.
Oh yeah. So you can
Well, yeah,
still,
we
you
were
can still
recording
get
with
some
one mic. Yeah,
No, I'm not talking about
natural
record
room.
it.
He's saying performing with
The
the
performance
one
is one mic. It's basically the same thing as in this
Like
room.
Punch
You're
Brothers.
gonna-
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Okay, I see
that
what
tiny
you mean.
desk attitude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah, that'd be
It'd
watching.
be interesting. It kind
Yeah.
of bring that concept too, and you're still mixing yourself in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
We gotta figure it out.
Lots of talking to be coming down. the
Mark's
line.
podcast tomorrow might be 4 hours.
No kidding. So Earl, what about you, man? You've been around a lot lately, and you've been in the mix and a part of it enough on this side and that
Earl's
side.
getting ready to be full time, man.
Yeah, Earl's going to be put to work. Is how you say that.
You'll get the same salary as Neil.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah. That's a big check.
You're gonna go broke, man. So, you know, what about you as far as thoughts of new ideas, new angles that we can take?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think these guys laid out some good ones. I mean, I think what y'all do here already is pretty cool. I think, yeah, getting artists to recruit other artists to come on here is a big thing. Like, I was at a festival in Madison a month ago and met a bunch of artists. Spencer was with me. We talked to this dude, West Ship from Virginia and West Virginia and whatnot. And we're just like, he was a great dude. Heard him play. I'm like, man, you got to come on the podcast. I think just getting people to keep spreading the word, getting people on here. We got to get some sponsors. Like, I think that's crazy not to. There's too many people around. I think it would give you all some money.
You know
and
what?
then, like I said, Studio C. I know it's not really a new thing, but there's like you mentioned some of the bigger festivals around, but there's itty bitty. Poor Castle has great artists. Like you mentioned Buddy Crime before. I swear to God, when I moved back to Louisville in 2019, I went to Poor Castle out at Breslin Park and saw him play at nighttime, and that like. He inspired me to like get into music. So I was like, this guy's making like crazy shit, and I felt like my writing was not like radio country, and I was like, and it just I'm like I can make stuff too. It doesn't have to be like anything. And if
shout out to Buddy Crown.
That show he put on at Breslin Park was dope. I had a great time. Like, but that's what I want to do is hit up these local festivals. You and I went to the 7 Cents festivals. Like, park that son of a bitch out there. And
there was some great freaking performances there. Leap, Glory Days.
Gina, Sweet G and the Shine. I'd love to see them get on the podcast.
Who played that night in the main room?
Oh, there was
wasn't it?
In some dude, he was insane. The guitar player,
Aaron Lee Tasjan.
Oh my god,
he
bad
man.
Was so much fun.
I think he's in Nashville. Chadwick was on.
Chadwick played.
Yeah,
Chadwick was great.
He's dope. Yeah, that's what I want to do. And I think there's a big thing with these local festivals like Fuzzy Pig. There's a bunch of small little festivals that aren't, of course, hitting the big ones like Bourbon and Beyond would be cool, but even hitting these local ones would
it would be cool.
And bluegrass ones.
I tell you, that's all cool, but there wouldn't be nothing cooler than pulling up right in front of the Monarch with that RV.
Amen, dude, for sure.
Hey, Park Mill Set,
that should happen.
I mean, it's only going to draw more people in there. If you have you've had the signage out there, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
We can get a top hill like carpet, so then they can see it before stepping up on the
step
step.
and repeat kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, dude. I'm gonna put speakers on the outside.
So basically, Brad, you can't move. We got all these ideas. We need you to figure out how we're gonna do them.
Yeah, dude.
I'll be back quite a bit. Yeah,
I'll be back all the time.
Like you could just stay in the motorhome.
That's what Hank Hill
I'll be
sounds
back
like.
all the time.
That's what Hank Hill sounds like, and you sound eerily familiar to Hank Hill. That's what he's saying. That's exactly what Hank Hill
I'll be back all the time.
Hey man, he's been here like 4 weeks this year, and he's like, "I'll be back all the time. Trust me." I'm like, whatever, dude. As long as he keeps, keeps answering the text messages, we're fine. It's all right. We communicate all the time.
Well, dude, no, I think honestly too, like the C studio is like it's something that like it's especially if you got on board with any festival or whether no matter what size, but if it's like. Because even the big festivals, Burn Beyond, Louder Than Life, they have baby bands. You know, and if you had something like you latched onto this festival, it's like, okay, this is something else that we can offer. You know, you're not just going to be, you're going to be playing at noon.
Yeah, I mean, like Kelsey Walden, I called it Bourbon and Beyond. I'm a big fan of her. She's from Western Kentucky. Like, would have been dope to get on the show.
Yeah, like, just something because they're already going to be in town. Like something else to offer that they're going to just gain new fans. Like, hey, we're either getting ready to play or we just played this big festival here. Like, I think that'll be.
Well, I told Brent, Neil, if we get into festivals, I will fly in for the festivals.
Yeah,
especially if we get that multi-million-dollar.
The good
fun part,
the good stuff.
The good stuff. Hey,
good stuff.
Hey, where are we going this weekend? Where are you driving the RV and I'm flying too? That's what he said. All right.
Hey,
but I do think so. But so when I was in I spent about 9 months of the last 12 in North Dakota. Yeah. So, and Neil,
9 months.
What you guys doing over there? Sharing vape?
I'm just popping.
Don't worry. Miscreant activity. Turn the camera off, bro. Put that camera on down. Hit the button, Spence. Hit the button.
It looked like oxygen was at a premium over there.
Hey, don't worry about it, yo. Just turn that shit around.
I forgot what I was saying.
Something about how you spent your entire year out.
So I've 9 out of the last 12 months I've been in North Dakota. And some of these podcasts, there'd be a couple times that maybe Spencer and Brent, neither one could make it. And Neil is trying to set up the audio, set up the videos, set up all the cameras, make sure you press record. And while you're thinking about all this technical stuff, you're trying to think of the best interview.
Yeah, that's a lot,
and
dude.
that's too much. Yeah, and you did a pretty good job, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's a lot to take on.
You know what? I didn't think about it. Now I quit.
It's over.
Hey, man, I just remember all that front end work you did. I'm thinking about all this back end work you're doing.
Yeah.
It's good.
We're picking
It's
each
good.
other up, man.
Just a big old.
You know what? It all that stuff is relatively easy as long as I've got seriously an answer on the other end of the hey, what do I need to do? And I know that once I do that, and if I can get it all right, all I got to do is push send, and it goes to you, and you can worry about the audio edit, and I can worry about the video crap. So
We've got
it's a partnership.
We've got a pretty good partnership in post production now, you know, and all that takes place. But
yeah, that's so when you guys talk about the buy-in from other people, that's definitely something that I would love here on my end. Is like Earl's giving me the indication he's in, man. So I feel like I can rely on him. Ever since I've asked, he's been here, and that's hard to rely on and get. And that's the one thing after 3 years of us working together, it was real easy to go, what do we got? What time do I need to be there? All right, cool. I'd walk in, you'd be audio, I'd set up other things, and we'd go. So, I think that I'm getting to the point where I am getting a little bit more help on that end. Spencer stepped up and helped with the switching and stuff. You being back in town has been great because it's kind of helped us get this all settled. And, man, like legit with what you all have said, it's got me thinking. So I think that, moving forward, I guess I'd ask you, what do you think we need to do?
I think it's all been addressed. The only, so it's like anything, you got imposter syndrome comes in on everybody, and so we think about things sometimes, but you talked about being top hill artist and to hear you guys think about that, we think all you guys, you guys are important to us, and to hear that you guys feel like that we're that big of an important part and that you consider yourself top hill artists. We've talked about things like maybe just having a top hill artist appreciation here. I mean, Neil's got the perfect, you guys have seen this backyard. You got you look out over downtown Louisville, you've got pine trees in the back and a place for a bonfire, and doing like a top hill appreciation once a year or something. But then another side of you thinks, man, what if you take all the time to set this up and nobody shows up?
Yeah.
Shit, dude, if you get a quarter of the artists that have been on, you're going to have a big old crowd.
Yeah.
Just them and their bands or, their plus ones or families or whatever. I'm down.
Yeah, well, plus, you also got to go, all right, when does everybody not play a gig?
True,
so because
what's the best night?
What's the best
That's
night?
why we settled on Monday nights for podcast.
But I can
That's
tell
the
you,
main reason we set on Mondays for podcast. Yeah.
even if it's a Friday or Saturday or whatever, with as much as you guys have done and going what Scott was saying and just if it was enough time in advance where everybody knew,
or maybe
so many people would be into it.
Maybe even
people just show up out here.
Or maybe even like a meet and greet. Hey man, come meet everybody. We've talked about everybody's been in the 7 circles of each other. 7 degrees of separation. Come put a face to a name. Come say hello and network and talk about gigging and maybe that's something that kind of be facilitated at the Monarch, if not here. I think the biggest thing about this place is, it's you got to get to it. So
don't forget about the hill. Don't forget about
I
think about what this hill is though, and I think that's what
separation.
You're saying, and that's what you were saying too, Brett. Is the perspective. As soon as you said it's up here above the city, I thought immediately about the magic of the first time I came up here, and as let's get real for just 2 seconds. As I grew up in Appalachia, y'all. If you don't know me, I grew up in West Virginia. I grew up in the rural suburbs, as I call it. You drive all the way out past the farm on your left, and then you find yourself in a subdivision like that. That is some weird shit, but it's happening all over America. And I grew up in West Virginia, and for me to just be anywhere by myself as a black man driving out some windy ass, curvy ass roads, listen, I know when my spidey senses tingle and I know when they don't. And when I got up to the top of this hill, it was nothing but joy. It was nothing but splendor. It was nothing but and I told you all this in my first maybe the first time I co-host, or maybe it was the first time I was even just in an interview with you all. I said, I feel safe. And I said, and for y'all's station in life, you know, that's not something that just comes inherently. You all make people feel safe. You're doing something with the platform that you all have found, and the legitimacy that just kind of comes at the place in life that you both are all at. And you've done something that goes well beyond your expectation.
Yeah.
And the idea of being up on this hill with a whole bunch of other artists and just looking back at Louisville, looking back at the place that's kind of held us all in one way or another, whether you drove through or whether you played or whether you lived there like I did and learned how to play around in a city and not lose your mind and then find a career all at the same time. It's something that I think needs to happen. If I could just say,
it would be a great night.
You just need to do it. Like,
It's happened a few times. Like we've had a couple times. We've had a podcast. The weather's beautiful, and we're like, "Hey, you guys want to go hang out? You know, down at Neil's?" And we'll, there's been some pretty good nights up here with that.
I couldn't imagine. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
But then the other thing is just the, just like what you guys have been talking about with the festival. I mean, I just think that would be so cool. You know, I could just see you have the RV set up, and you've got a guitar there and microphone set up, and I mean, who knows? You could probably just have guests to the festival that just spectators that come in and play crazy stuff
for sure.
I think here's what Scott just while you were talking about that, man, I was seeing it in my head. I was seeing all of the everybody sitting around with a guitar, and hopefully some stand-up bass and some fiddles and some djembes and some cajones and just a bunch of people hanging out, making music, having a good time. And that's where the debut of the Studio C comes in, man. It'll be back there right by the bonfire.
Oh,
we test it out. All right, whose turn?
We already have a mobile setup.
Yeah, we got the setup. So I think it would just, I really like and you can also do it without all that bullshit and just connect. Because, the one thing that I do love about being able to walk out that door and just keep walking is I feel a total separation from the anxiety that goes on everywhere else. I feel like I
tell people that all the time. If when you live up here but you got to make yourself not take it for granted. But when I had a high stress job and I would come home and I would hit the canopy at the bottom of the hill and start driving up here, it's like something goes away.
Yeah,
this forest is one of the most beautiful places around.
Really is.
Yep, I feel lucky. So,
and you moved
all right, so
out
we're gonna
of
make that happen.
Crazy.
We gotta think that's right at the end of winter, into spring, like March type of deal. So just took off Derby week. Maybe the Saturday before Derby, we can do some crazy shit here.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
We'll call
There's no week I'd rather get out of Louisville than Derby week. So
here it is, man.
Come on, Sunday.
You can get out. I tell you what, you can just stay in the RV for the week if you want to.
Bring a tent.
You should look at the Sunday after Derby too.
Sunday after, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of industry parties that have become respite for people, but there's not really one for artists.
I'm down. Yeah, because artists, that's too hard ass. Well, yeah.
Well, we hurt ourselves.
You make your living for those 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
How cool would that be to have nothing but musicians up here?
Yeah. Like, dude, you ain't been on the podcast?
I feel like that's everybody up here already. Like, I feel like every other person, either way you go down the street, either they play guitar, they know how to play a couple tunes, or they're like badass. Frank.
Yeah.
For those who haven't met Frank, he is the biggest audiophile, and he will sit there and show you so many different types of music, and you wouldn't guess,
Scott's
up here.
Good listener. That's the guy. He taught me how to listen to music, and he taught it to me about 3 years ago.
He's got like a 1970s Marantz stereo.
Nope. Phase linear. Same shit Elvis had. It weighs 400 pounds to pick up the receiver.
And what are the speakers? They got glass tweeters.
They're JBL JL 45s or something like that from the 70s. They got glass tweeters. They're amazing. All right, man. I think it's about time to wrap this sucker up. But before we go, we got to ask these guys. I guess starting with my left, Dusty. You just came off a big West Coast swing. in for the holidays, I'm assuming. What you got going on in the next 3 or 4 months? What you see going on, buddy?
Well, and where can people find you?
You can find me just on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever it is now, Jesus, and
Twitter,
TikTok.
bro.
And
Hey,
Dusty
we're at the
Vox.
age where it's Twitter for life.
Twitter for life.
Twitter for us.
Yeah, I mean it's confusing. It's still like the same thing. I don't know. Anyways, Dusty Vox.
Twitter for life.
Twitter for life. Twitter for life.
Or just search Dusty Bo. You can DUSTYBO. But I'm not gonna be doing touring really much next year. I wanna just kind of stick around and do a lot of writing and put out some more songs. I'm actually gonna be splitting my time between Kentucky and Nashville. A buddy of mine that has a house out there had a room available for a very affordable cost, so gonna be going there pretty much 2 weeks of every month and just kind of getting in the scene out there more than I have been. And yeah, man, just want to keep putting out songs. I don't want to, I love touring and this, that, and the other, but as far as like just what brings me the most joy and what makes the most sense, I want to just put out more music, do my gigging around the region and put out more songs.
How's the writing going, man? Are you figuring out what your voice is right now?
It's been, yeah, man, and that's been really cool. Just kind of like, it's been definitely leaning more towards just the southern rock, bluesy, just
mess around type of stuff.
Mess around, and then yeah, exactly. Just kind of, and not getting too experimental as far as just with my project. I want to, that's something I've I guess as far as like I want to put out like everything I write, but it's one of those things where you can always do side projects, collaborating with other people when it's like it's there's, and so, but as far as my stuff goes, yeah, southern bluesy rock and roll is definitely the lane I've been kind of sticking in as far as my writing goes. So
well, you're damn good at it.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Guy, what about you, man? I know every time I'm around you, I feel like you're on fire, getting ready to like write and release a bunch of stuff. And you probably have written and recorded a bunch of stuff that's on your phone, just like you did when you got here by yourself in that room. But so, what's going on with you, buddy? I know you just got the old marriage certificate signed and sealed and delivered. Congratulations, brother.
Congratulations,
man.
Super amazing.
Honest man. Trying not to be a wild stallion and buck my way out of this good life I've built. Oh my gosh,
I don't think you got it in you, man. You seem.
It's hard to not let yourself realize how lucky you are to have what you have. Like when you're like me, I grew up in a home with two people. I didn't have a single mom or a single dad or anything like that. But I didn't know what it was to have home. Like I just didn't. I was always gone. I don't know why. I was just always gone. I was always at somebody's house. I was always on a trip. I was always working. And I'm just like Dusty. I'm staying home next year. I've been home for most of this year. A lot of y'all don't know I almost died on a surgery table. They found something on my vocal fold that wasn't a nodule. A nodule they just let you live with and you learn how to sing around. But it was a polyp and it scared them, so they went after it and it did not go well. And so the fact that I'm even singing again is pretty wild for me because like there were months of my life this last year that I did not sing. I just didn't. Yeah, and I didn't really talk about it because it all was blending into the marriage runway. And for me, it's important that I understand what a gift it is to be able to sing and to document my voice as it is right now, because it's different than it was last year. It already is. I got new places in my voice, new gravel, new limitations I never had. So I gotta do a better job of just sharing my documentation, even if it is just a phone recording. I think it's important just to share it. And
I'm going to tell you this: your phone recording days are over, man. You walk in here anytime you want. I can hit record real easily, bro. Okay. You don't have to do phone recordings. I think it goes for all y'all. No more phone recordings.
Oh yeah.
All right?
You can find me where you always have, just Instagram. You can just type in Scott T. Smith. Little handle will come up. Scott likes this. But I just want to really quickly throw it over to you two. I see you both for who you are. I see you for the dedicated educator who cared more about those children than policy, and who can remember a name of an artist that was on here.
That's great.
50, 200 episodes ago,
No
because
shit.
you've been memorizing kids' names for a long time because you actually care. And the way you follow through with this podcast is the way you follow through for almost probably 35 years in education. And I see you. And Neil, I see you for the songwriter and for the artist that you are and you always have been.
Appreciate it.
And
Man.
there's a lot of institutional knowledge right here between the twos of you.
Thanks,
and
man.
that's why
Appreciate
this
that.
is what it is.
Cheers to that, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Earl?
I hate following up Scott, man.
He's the worst person to follow.
said on the
Whether he's singing or he's talking, it's like, God damn it, I gotta
I know,
go after him.
yeah.
So thank you for picking me first.
Yeah. If
You
we do this again, we're going the
You
other
want
way.
some
So,
Yeah.
Get some
Fucking
hands on
preaching
it.
and
Hey,
making
the
everybody
first thing I'll
cry.
say
Good
is
God.
it's
Somebody's
just
gotta
cool
say
to
it.
sit
Put it
here
on-
with these two. I'm
put it on
fans
film.
of both of these two dudes, and it's cool to just sit on the couch with you. Scott, you really are one of the most thoughtful, well-spoken artists I've ever been in this room with. It's just, that's why I've been quiet. It's just nice to listen to. You have a lot of stuff to say that's important, and that's cool to see, and I really am. My wife hates when people say something's humbling when they win an award or anything, because she says, if you do something, you should be there. But it is humbling to be here with you all and get to do this and be here with you all. Because like I said, I've been a fan of the show since way before I even really dove into doing music seriously at all. So to get to be part of this every week is really cool. Like I've told you, on Mondays I work 10 hours, so I leave for my house at 7:30, and by the time we get home after this, sometimes it's pretty fucking late. And
Oh, yeah.
it's always the highlight of my week to get to come do this. And so
Man.
yeah, it means a lot to get to be on here and spend time with you all. You really are genuine people, and that's what makes this so special. But yeah,
Appreciate it. So, man, you're in the middle of doing some recording right
I am.
now.
I'm working on an album. I just with Brennan Meek at the Mountain Art Center in Prestonsburg. It's where Nicholas Jamerson does all his recordings and stuff out there. And yeah, we've done 7 songs, and he's working on kind of finishing those up. And I'm doing a song with Ann and Spencer and my live band here in town, and putting out an album sometime this year.
Awesome.
So that
man.
should be cool.
Something I want to say about you, Earl. It's funny, how you mentioned earlier, Neil. Earl's a man of few words when he's not on stage. But when you were on stage, bro, your personality just thrives and put on a great show. You make people laugh. You you get in everybody's feels, and so it's
Well, thank you,
cool.
man.
Yeah, no, legit. It's awesome.
Yeah.
At any time to hang is a treat, but seeing you play it too, it's just like, all right, yeah, this is where you
Come out of the shell.
Yeah, and it's great because a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
A lot of people
They do the opposite.
Sometimes it's like a big personality off stage, but you get on stage, it's like,
Yeah,
You
I mean
know,
that's
but-
where I feel most comfortable, honestly. Is with the guitar up, and I'd rather do that than anything in my
Yeah.
It's
It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
It's a soul shield for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
You take that guitar away, I get kind of weird. The man behind the cameras, I see you too, boy. You just keep on keeping on.
Spencer.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah, Spencer, click it over to you real quick. So what's, you're in a pretty big transition period in your life. By the time this comes out, you may be unemployed. I'm not 100% sure, which is a good thing because he did it on purpose.
I did, yeah.
Good.
He is heading in the right direction to do things that make sense for you. So as far as what you got going on here in the next few months, I know you're playing with Earl. What else is going on?
Really, I am looking into going into music therapy.
There you go.
And working with not only kids with special needs, but adults. And I really love working with going to nursing homes and doing hospice visits and things of that nature, because a lot of times those are the people that you guys will understand this, but I feel like the general public of the world doesn't really understand how physically healing music is.
Sure.
It's not just emotional.
Yeah.
It's not just stardust.
Yeah.
It's an actual thing. Those vibrations can really, really heal people and really do some amazing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, it moves things.
Good on you, man. I could see you
So-
being so good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And-
so awesome.
And I really sat down and thought about it. I'll get paid every single day to stand in front of people and play guitar. So it's like, and I'll be able to help people.
Ain't a bad way to live.
Ain't a bad way to live.
As somebody who gets paid intermittently, stands in front of people with a guitar, that ain't a bad way to live.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And playing with Earl and jamming and yeah, excited to
Hell yeah, man.
do some shows and
There you go.
Yeah, hang out with everybody and
All right, so I will also say on your behalf, if you need a luthier,
oh yeah.
give him a
Come on.
shout. He will
Yeah.
help you out.
There ain't enough of y'all.
There ain't enough luthiers. There's enough musicians with shitty guitar tones. Help them out, Spencer. So, I mean, am I wrong?
Dang.
No.
All right,
True.
appreciate
Dang.
it.
True.
Passed out. I didn't
Appreciate it.
breathe for 10 seconds.
All right, well, to you guys in the room, all love you. I really, really appreciate y'all
Absolutely.
stepping up, stepping in.
200 more to
Being awesome.
200 more.
And 200 more, and to my brother over here to my left,
Clank.
clink, clinky clink. I need some more.
I do got more.
Brad, love you, buddy.
Yep.
And
Love you, man.
a couple hundred more. We'll get to it. Well, let's take all these notes, starting with sponsorships. I like that one a lot. And then let's roll with it, buddy.
All right.
To 200 more, my man.
Yeah.
Cheers, y'all.
Episode 200 out.
Out.